My name is Jennifer Doucette. I'm a 26-year-old mother of two beautiful children. I live on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada, in Nanaimo. I'm a local sea glass artist, and I also see myself as an advocate for eating disorder awareness and mental health awareness. Some of you might remember me from a previous video, or a couple. I used to have a blog. I share my story about my eating disorder and my mental health journey online to try and give people a better light into the struggles that I go through every day. Some of you have maybe even helped me yourselves by donating, supporting me, commenting, helping me, whatever you may have done. I am eternally grateful for all of it. You all helped me get the help I needed it and I deserve. And I'm here today to ask you for help again, not for donations, but help in making some noise and shining some light on the broken system for people trying to recover from an eating disorder. How do you even begin to start to explain to someone that your own mind fights and argues with every single thought about food? Not only food stuff, though. It can be about control, body image, self-worth, and so many more things. You cannot control what the triggers will be and when an eating disorder enters your life. You don't choose it, it chooses you. Each disorder is different. Each person's symptoms are different and struggles are different. Each person's triggers are different. Think about it this way. No two brains work the exact same way. It's the same for an eating disorder. Two people may share a diagnosis, but they will each have differences within this disorder. Triggers, thoughts, coping mechanisms, the whole ordeal. How they will need to approach recovery. Each battle is so widely different with some possible similarities. One day one thing can comfort you, and the next day that same thing could cause an unexpected trigger or setback. Eating disorders are complex and confusing for all of those involved. The person living it, those who love and support them, the medical teams trying to help them, children who live with it or are watching a loved one go through it. The complex aspect brings me back to how two people can each have the same diagnosis, but their personal battles look very different. These things are why recovery can be so challenging and is in no way a slow process. Often doctors, nurses, and medical professionals are not educated or misunderstand eating disorders and how to help in the recovery process. Mental health professionals are a little bit more in the know, but these two teams not being on the same page causes a lot of issues and can make it extremely frustrating, overwhelming, and often just a never-ending cycle where you end up having to tell the same part of your journey over and over again. You go to one person, you tell them your journey, and then usually a referral or more is made so you can get some more support. So you sit there and wait while more battles occur in your mind and your body. You finally get the call, the appointment is not for a few more weeks. So again, you wait a while more happens in your mind and body. The appointment is finally here. You now have to tell them the same part of the journey that you told the person who originally gave you a referral. But add in all the stuff that's happened in between. All the days, all the triggers, all the battles, anything that has been additionally added due to this. Oh, here we go. They want to send off more referrals. So the circle continues. Which means more waiting, more mental battles, and a lot of uncertainty if it's even going to be worth it. The process is long, confusing, and often extremely maddening. The system to help those with eating disorders is broken, not working, and something needs to change. People are dying because of the lack of knowledge and seriousness of these disorders. When someone commits suicide due to the lack of support or due to the disorder, it is not labeled death by an eating disorder. It is labeled suicide because they just see suicide. When someone goes to the hospital for medical help due to an eating disorder, they end up in the psych ward for mental issues. Don't get me wrong, yes, an eating disorder is a type of mental illness. When you go in for medical help, though, you deserve medical help. Not to be sent somewhere that will most likely trigger a fight or flight response. It makes you feel crazy when they try to turn your medical issues into all mental problems. Yes, the mental problems have created the medical issues, but the medical issues still need to be addressed. Eating disorders cause so many more chronic pain and physical symptoms and issues than I believe a lot of people even realize. It goes from pretty minor to incredibly severe. Now, I say incredibly severe because it can cause internal problems, including, but not limited to, severe hormonal issues, fainting, cardiac arrest, heart attack, or even death. Organs can fail, and I truly believe it would benefit so many lives if more medical professionals were taught about these effects. That would make it so emergency rooms, walk-in clinics, doctors' offices would be more prepared to handle when someone comes in asking for medical or mental support surrounding an eating disorder. Asking for help is a really scary thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage. I know because I've been there, and I've had to, over and over and over again. Imagine you finally decide to ask for help with the mental battles that's going on inside of you, and the physical ones too. And you're met with a handful of professionals who are just kind of winging it because they don't really know exactly how to deal with this. Now imagine this was for surgery, or for your cancer treatment, or diabetes. You would be terrified, and you would probably try and find another team who is more knowledgeable in the situation. Now imagine you can't find anyone in the community you live in, or even on the island, or even anywhere close. What do? Do you move far away to where there is supports, but then you leave all your home supports? Do you spend a whole bunch of money traveling back and forth so that you can attend sessions and still get some help but still be at home? Or do you just try to recover on your own? Now, on top of this disorder, which affects you physically and mentally, you fought your own thoughts to even ask for this help. All this added stress, anxiety, and bullshit because our Canadian government, our mental health system, and our medical system is failing people. They are failing those with an eating disorder. 1 in 4 people have an eating disorder. If it's not you, it's someone you know. It's someone hiding it. They may not be open about it. It may not be for you to know or ever know. But 1 in 4 people struggle with an eating disorder. Why is there so little support for something so many of us struggle with? It does not make sense to me. People are dying, and the only way things are going to change is if we can make enough noise to where they can no longer ignore and neglect us. We are being failed by a system meant to help people. Years ago, when I first started recovery, and I wanted help for myself, I was a complete and utter mess, and the whole entire system was a complete and utter runaround. I got a front-end view to the lack of support in my community, along with the rest of Vancouver Island and BC. It made me angry and sad and often feeling defeated. The only outpatient option for me was in the interior of BC in Prince George. So I arranged to leave my whole life and my children so I could try to save my life, so I could live for my children. Due to leaving my daily supports, not being near my children and family, this did not work out for me. I felt at a loss as I packed my bags to come back to Nanaimo. I didn't know what my next step would be. I started sharing my story on a blog while living in Prince George, hoping to shine some light on the lack of services that I was finding. While packing, blogging, and researching, I found an inpatient program. Here's the catch. 1, it's in Brandon, Manitoba, 3 provinces away. 2, it costs $2,200 a month. I'm on disability for mental illness. I cannot afford that. 3, the government wanted to cut off my disability if I left the province for more than 30 days. How can I manage any of that? I put it out into the world on my personal page how frustrated I was with the broken system and that I couldn't find help. Someone brought up to me crowdfunding. So I looked into it. I was really skeptical, but I was more desperate to save my life. I created a GoFundMe campaign asking for $26,400. The amount would cover a 12-week stay at the treatment center in Brandon, Manitoba. If you stay for 12 weeks, they covered the flights. I don't know if they still do this. They just did this when I went. Then I recorded a video, kind of like the one I'm recording today. Except in that video, I was asking for donations. In this video, I'm just asking for you to help me get voices heard. When I woke the next morning, I was shocked. The video had hundreds of views, shares. News stations, radios, newspapers, Cosmo magazine online were contacting me for interviews. Donations started coming, and then I got the email that changed everything. The treatment center I was trying to attend got an email from the Eating Disorder Foundation of Canada, who received an anonymous donation. The anonymous donator asked that the amount of $13,500 be given to the treatment center in my name for me to attend. This was not a small act of kindness. This donation solidified 6 weeks of treatment. All of the GoFundMe money that was donated helped me prepare and get myself to the treatment center and live there for 6 weeks. Bus ticket, plane ticket, travel expenses, a permanent reminder on my arm to always keep going. And so much more. There has not been one day since I posted that video where I don't wake up with so much gratitude for that entire experience. To every anonymous donator, including all of the ones on GoFundMe. To every not anonymous donator, thank you. You truly gave me another chance at life. And now I want to use my voice to help those who feel like they don't have one. The thing is, I got really lucky in that part of my journey. If not for being able to openly talk about it, to sit down and record a video of myself asking for help, writing blog posts, outing everything I had been through, I would have never gotten that opportunity. Not every person can openly talk about it or can publicly advocate for themselves. I don't blame them. It's scary. There's judgment. People question you. You have the world looking into your world, watching what you're doing. This is just another of many reasons why we need a better and more government-funded programs and treatment facilities for those people with eating disorders who want to get help. Each community should have beds in their hospitals for eating disorder patients. They need a walk-in service with employees educated on eating disorder recovery. There should be medical center for eating disorder patients where they can go to get stabilized, to go to treatment centers. There should be supports available. Doctors, nurse practitioners, nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists, crisis support teams, counselors, and therapists are all needed in our communities for people with eating disorders. They need to have the knowledge and the education to create a better system for recovery. More government-funded dietitians and nutritionists would be beneficial for so many lives. All of these professionals need a crash course in their original education or at some point in their careers on the effects of eating disorders and the ways to support someone asking for help and what an eating disorder really is. Oftentimes they do not begin with food. Because you hear eating disorder, you think food. Many things can cause an eating disorder to occur, and sometimes it's happening without you even realizing. For me personally, anorexia came into my life when I was 17 years old, and I was pregnant with my son. There was a lot of trauma going on in my life. I'm not going to speak on that because it doesn't need to be spoken about publicly ever. The eating disorder caused a lot of issues with the pregnancy. My body kept trying to reject the baby. I was in and out of the hospital with IVs because I was so dehydrated all the time. Thankfully, my son was born extremely healthy. I, on the other hand, was not. I continued living unknowingly with this disorder and all the physical issues and chronic pain, the mental battles, the missed meals, the confusion until I was 20 or 21. And I went to get up out of bed and both my hips locked and I face planted onto the floor. I was stuck there for the next 2.5 hours before I excruciatingly was able to get myself up. I managed to get to the doctors that I had at the time. He did some tests and then he came back into the room with a look of utter concern and told me my BMI. And followed up with, I am worried you could drop at any moment due to an organ failure or a heart attack. If that wasn't scary enough, I had no idea why this was all happening to my body. Mental health walk-in clinic was open and I was feeling lost and confused, so I went there. During that session, I met a woman who changed my life. She was able to open my eyes to what I had been dealing with since I was 17. It was anorexia, the evil bitch who tries to run my life 6 feet into the ground every single day. I won't let her. I made a new appointment with my doctor to get the proper tests, not knowing what was causing my body to fail. This doctor was an older man who agreed that anorexia is what it was, but then had no knowledge on eating disorders or how to go about treatment. This sent me into a fight mode. I was upset, which led the doctor to release me as a patient. Now, I had no doctor to navigate this new diagnosis and what was going on inside my body. So I went back to the mental health walk-in clinic as that amazing woman said I could request her. My story is complicated and she didn't want me having to repeat the same parts of my story over and over. and end up in the same spot every time. After that appointment, she helped me get in contact with a nurse practitioner. We set up an initial meet each other appointment. After that, she decided to take me on as a patient. This changed my recovery forever. My nurse practitioner did frequent appointments, numerous referrals, blood work, ECGs. That woman showed me care I had never seen from the medical community surrounding my eating disorder. And I finally felt safe and trusted. That woman goes to bat for me over and over. She encourages me and pushes me. And she has truly been the best thing for my recovery. She holds me accountable. If I miss an appointment, she will get another one made with me. She does not just leave me hanging. I'm very lucky to have someone with her knowledge of eating disorders and mental illness. To this very day, she's still on my team. She's the first appointment I make when I'm struggling. She always has resources, and if she doesn't, she researches them for me. This is something so rare to find in the eating disorder and recovery world. Often people are dismissed and ask questions that won't help the disorder or the recovery. When you finally get the courage and the strength to reach out and be honest about the battle inside your mind and body, and you are met with dismissal, degrading questions, or disbelief, it can set you back and give you thoughts that it might not be worth the fight to get better. A lot of the time, the person suffering has to be their own advocate, because to actually get the medical and mental support, they have to push for it. That adds mountains of obstacles, more mental battles, more energy, and focus on fighting for what you deserve instead of focusing on how to make your recovery better and the steps you need to do in your daily life for it not to control your entire life. This turns an already really tough battle into an even tougher battle. The lack of knowledge, but also the lack of services provided, make trying to figure out a treatment plan confusing and frustrating, which often make the process in finding a good plan much longer than it needs to be. It also means that the person suffering has to educate and create a plan for themselves. This can be a bad, detrimental thing in recovery for their mind, because the disorder is also giving opinions and trying to stay present, so the plan made won't be super beneficial as the disorder is involved in making that plan. Eating disorders give a mental battle daily between your actual thoughts and the thoughts of your disorder. It's like waking up every day and your mind just chooses to fight the good, healthy, and important things and thoughts. Fight or flight is often a response when reaching out for help, support, or treatment. In these situations, often patients are then passed along to someone else because they seem like they don't actually want help, or they're dismissed due to the fear and the reaction that the patient gave the professional. Sometimes they're just completely given up on. They're just told to leave and there's nothing else more done. This sends the patient back to square one in trying to get better, but now the patient also feels like they have issues added due to being let down for a fight or flight reaction. The system is so broken and letting so many people down. People are dying because of this, and it is not being taken seriously. Something has to change, and it needs to change fast. not just youth are struggling, adults are too. This isn't every person battle. It's not limited to a certain age, to a certain gender, so to a certain body type. You don't have to look like a skeleton to have an eating disorder. Overeating can be an eating disorder. There is so many eating disorders out there. I encourage you to take some time and look up the different types of eating disorders and what they actually are, because often people are so misunderstood about what the criteria is for an eating disorder. And I think so many people are living with them unknowingly and doing damage to their bodies and their minds. And I think if we can educate people more on what eating disorders really are, it would be beneficial for everyone involved. We need to make noise and shine light, and we need to keep making noise, and we need to keep shining light until these changes are made. I will not be silenced about this. I am a soldier that goes to battle in my own mind every single day. And now I will go to battle every day for all of you who feel like your voices aren't being heard. For all of you who don't feel safe enough to share your stories publicly. For all of you who have been let down by this broken ass system. I want to be the voice that makes this change for all of you, because you are worth it. You deserve it. And I've been where you are. If you have a story where the system to recover from an eating disorder has failed you and you want it in the light, please reach out. Nothing will be shared without your consent. If you would like to remain anonymous when I am sharing parts, I am more than comfortable doing that. You don't have to tell me anything you don't want to tell me. You can even share your story with me without it being shared publicly as well. You are not alone. It is time we stop living in a world where eating disorders are a choice. I did not choose this, and I know you did not choose it either. You are beautiful, and you are worth it, and I want to help fight so you get the help you deserve. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and if there's anything you can add, please send me a message, comment, share this story to get it out there. Voices need to be heard. Changes need to be made. This is not okay. I will not be silenced.